So, Steve, it's a real pleasure to meet you. Thank you for allowing to do an interview. I wanted to talk a little bit about practicing, and I found your 10-hour workout to be really inspirational. So I was wondering where you got the idea for doing a 10-hour workout and how long you did it for.
Well, you know, when I was younger, I just was always in love with the guitar. I mean, to me, it was just a beautiful thing, you know. And I guess, you know, at that time there was a lot of different things going on in the world in the way of distractions for a young person. I didn't have nearly the distractions that other people have now, young kids have now. But, you know, I loved the idea of picking up the instrument and not being able to play something and then working on it and then all of a sudden being able to do it. That was, you know, it gave me this sense of achievement and accomplishment that I wasn't getting elsewhere. And plus I was making music. It actually sounded cool. So I dedicated all the time I had to it. You know, to me, playing the guitar was, it was just kind of like a little release. And I was very shy, actually, and kind of insecure. I didn't want to tell anybody that I played. Because, you know, where I came from, if you played the guitar, either you were really cool or you thought you were cool. And I was neither, you know. I just found this, you know, escape, so to speak. I mean, there was other things going on in my life that, you know, where playing the guitar actually offered a solitude. So that feeling of achievement became very addictive because the better you get, the better you get. And I just loved the idea of just being able to play. So I'm very methodical in a sense, too. And I like to write lists and break things down and be very organized, you know. So I developed these practicing schedules, and they were based on, you know, for 1 hour I would do exercises of a particular type, because for me it was like, I knew that if I did it and worked on it, I would just get better, you know? And then I would learn, I wanted to understand music. I always loved the idea of knowing the language of music. You know, to me, music on paper was like art. It looked beautiful. You know, I could never really, you know, poetry was just words to me at the time. Art was just paint mixed together, you know? If I ever tried to draw something, it's like stick figures, you know. I got no talent whatsoever, but music was just beautiful, you know, and it looked like art. And I wanted to know what it meant, and I wanted to be able to control it, and I wanted to be able to master it. And so I studied music, not just the guitar. And I was composing before I was even playing the guitar, you know. And then once I got the guitar, you know, I mean, I heard Led Zeppelin and it was all over. And so I actually broke down my practicing time into all, because I thought I want to be able to do this, I want to be able to do that. I never wanted to be genre specific. You know, I never wanted to be a blues player, a jazz player, a classical player. As a matter of fact, I loved listening to all that stuff, and I would play it. But, you know, and I'd play my Jimi Hendrix songs and my Led Zeppelin songs, but when it came time to actually do my thing, it always felt really weird to me to play anything that anybody else had ever played. Because, first of all, why? You know, they do it so much better. Yeah. And second of all, you know, how cool is it to just do things that you haven't heard? That was and it wasn't out of any pretentious kind of a frame of mind. It was just, I mean, I never expected anything to come of it. You know, I mean, as a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I was scared to death of being famous. I don't know why. You know, I would actually keep me up at night. And, but I would also sit and imagine myself playing in front of a lot of people. And I would actually create this picture of this person. I'd lay in bed with the headphones on and listen to all my favorite music, and I would just create this character, and this character was like, you know, just this enigmatic, completely in control, confident from head to toe, command of the instrument. And I pictured the playing just like elegant and effortless and completely, you know, something that It was almost like unseen or unheard. But I never expect, I would never be pretentious enough to think that I could do that. But that was the picture I created, and you perpetuate your own reality. So everything, a lot of the things I do now are a direct reflection of what I envisioned as a kid. But getting back to your question, the 10-hour workout, it was a lot more than 10 hours actually. The 10-hour workout was just what I put in the magazine, at the time. But for me, it was every waking moment, and whenever I wasn't playing the guitar, I was in pain, and everything else was boring, was just a, they say, well, don't you miss, doing this and doing that? And, when you're absorbed in something, you don't miss anything. Everything else was work.
Makes sense.
But having said that, that was my way. And I enjoyed being very methodical and breaking things down. It's not necessarily the way for everybody. The way for you is what you feel. The reason why I did 10-hour workouts and whatever was because that's what excited me. If you're going to take any advice from me, I would tell you to find the thing that excites you the most and go after that, whether it's just playing, a Led Zeppelin song and not practicing scales, and you don't have to know music. If you tell Jeff Beck to play an F sharp on the G string, he might not know what it is. Well, maybe he would know that, but great musicians don't necessarily have to know about music. The important thing is to find what it is that excites you, and disregard what anybody else is doing or saying, and just go after that. That's what you're going to be the most successful at also. People always say to me, well, how do I get my music into the world, and how do I sell it? And the answer that I give is find the thing that you're natural and really good at, and then exaggerate it. I never worked on my weaknesses. I only worked on my strengths, and I exaggerate them. And that's how I get the particular voice that I have on the instrument.
All right. I've read that you spent many, many hours transcribing and that you found it almost meditative. Is that something that you think was a really beneficial period of your kind of study? Was the transcribing Zappa solos and this kind of... Because it's fairly hardcore transcribing, so I'm guessing that you must have done a lot of work to get to the point to transcribe that stuff.
Well, like I say, we all have particular tools and natural talent. For me, that very extremely complex musical notation just seemed to be very natural. I would never, if you ever look at the Frank Zappa guitar book that has all those transcriptions, there's nothing like it in the world. There's nothing, I've never seen anything quite as rhythmically complex as that. But it doesn't mean anything. It just, it was just, a part of it was my imagination having, in the playground, But I wouldn't say you have to be able to do that,
Not to that, do you think that transcribing develops the relationship between the sounds that you hear and how to make those sounds?
Absolutely. The most important connection that you have is with your ear and your fingers. Your emotional investment in what you're doing can be thwarted if you don't have the ability to make it real through your fingers. And the way that you do that is to develop your ear. Because your ear is hearing things on the inside and then getting them out. So the closer of a relationship that you have with your ears and your instrument, the easier it's going to be to get your thoughts out. And developing your ears can be anything from, I can give you a list of things that really help. Sing what you play, you know what I mean? Just sing the notes you play. Sing something and then play it, Listen to music that you like and try to figure it out, Transcribing simple stuff. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. It's the ability to hear in your head and then have it come right out. And by doing these, and sometimes it takes discipline. I did all those wild transcriptions because I liked the way they looked on paper, and I loved the idea of being able to immortalize something that's in the ether onto manuscript, And it was a very artistic, creative process because I developed, you know, articulations and guitar notations because at the time nobody was doing it. There wasn't even tab, you know.
How long did you play for before you really felt that you were able to express yourself through the instrument, or was that something you felt right at the beginning, as soon as you started playing, that you were really expressing yourself through that?
Well, always and never. You know, because the moment you pick up an instrument and you do anything, you're expressing yourself to a degree. Mm-hmm. But I never feel like I've... the moment I picked up a guitar, I knew that it was never going to end. Because there was no way I would ever know everything I could know or play everything I could play. And you know, maybe my chops suffer a bit now because I'm just, you know, I don't sit and do, you know, exercises all day, but other things have gotten much better. You know, as they say, as you mature, you know, life experiences change, your personality changes, the way you express yourself changes. You know, so I always feel as though it's an ongoing process, and that's really exciting.
You must be able to play them anything that you can hear now, right?
Well, no, because I always take myself to the brink of my potential. It changes constantly, because once you can hear something, see, I'll sit and I do this. This is a constant exercise that I do with myself, and usually at night, you know, when I'm laying in bed or something, I just imagine things that I can't do. You know, and you have to first imagine it before you can do it. But that's how you do it. And not only imagine it, then you have to see yourself doing it. You have to actually use your inner eye and visualize yourself doing it. And like magic, it just starts to happen. And once you've accomplished that, there's no end. Well, maybe there's an end right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cut.
It's been a real pleasure meeting you.
All right, thank you.
Much.